Yeah. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, Yoni. It's Yoni how you pronounce it?
Yoni, perfect. Yeah.
Nice
Uh,
meeting you.
Nice to meet you. Dalida?
Dalida, yes.
Dalida. Very nice. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for accepting the invitation. It was very, spontaneous.
Things should be spontaneous.
Yes, it was like I was just I had no idea how we started following each other,
Mm-hmm.
but I always felt drawn to your work of arts.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I felt it. I always felt that drawn and the curiosity about your creative process behind all those your creations. And I was I stopped for a year, almost a year, because I was doing some coaching and other stuff, and I had to stop during for personal causes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was like, yeah, I'm gonna do this break for myself because I really need to, because there are some things that I have been avoiding, and I was avoiding it through work.
Mm.
So the way to stop avoiding it was just put aside the work that I was doing. So in a way that I could actually come home and feel myself and be really myself with no distractions, so I could really do this work that I was being called to do. Because all
Mm.
my life I've been like this woman, a beautiful woman that was addicted to work, always work, 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 work. And at a certain point, it stopped working for me.
Mm.
That way of operating life. So I wanted to slow down. You can interact at any moment you want.
Yeah, I'm enjoying listening at the moment. I'm also noting that my glasses got all steamed up.
Are you drinking some tea?
I think the coffee, everything. It just sort of I'm gonna take them off for a second. I
Yeah.
vision may be a little blurry, but clearer, ironically clearer without the glasses.
Ha! Exactly. I took mine off as well.
Yeah. No,
How
I love hearing what you're saying. I mean, I have a lot of resonance with what you're saying, of course, in my own process for, I don't know, my own reasons of which I can articulate. I wanted to answer the first question because I know how we met, because I have a very good friend, Noah,
exactly,
who
Noah.
who's a very old and dear friend of mine and who I love very much. And uh, I think she connected us. I think she said, "Oh, you should," because I love many of the realizations and mystical and introspective. Yeah.
I remember now. It was through
She's been
Noah,
going, and I was telling Noah at the time that I was making art from the black hole, and
which she was doing as well, but in a
yeah, so we sort of we had this, yeah, so that kind of, and that's so there's a resonance through her. So here we are. So back to, are you saying that when you came back to the work you're doing now in terms of like talking with people and the voice and um, what you're bringing into the world came after you realized you needed to have this moment for yourself. You needed to step out of the rat race, as we say.
yeah,
How long has that been? I'm curious for you.
10 months roughly.
Hmm. Interesting, but I've been seeing you writing this. I've been following you for longer. I mean, so you sort of like you had forward artillery in terms of your in terms of the feeling. You were putting it out there already before stepping off because I've been seeing you writing these wonderful things that I resonate with for a long time. Has it only been 10 months?
Yes, it was since November. And in August, there were
Mm,
some events that happened, and that made me shift, or I did this shift, and I was just like, no, it's time to start. It's not to start going back, because I have never left what I was doing. I kept
mm,
doing other stuff, but not business related. I was not attaching any offers.
mm,
I was not putting any programs, any coaching sessions available. I was just processing all the stuff that I was processing in my inner being, and it was a beautiful moment. Thank God that I follow my guts that night.
yeah,
Yeah.
right on.
Yeah,
Mm,
because I had many invitations after that, because I wrote a post on Facebook saying that I was going to make a pause, and I didn't knew how long that pause would take. And I would might be coming back to my coaching business and working with clients. So it was something that I didn't knew back then. I just knew that I had to do this work. And I if I keep working, if I had keep working in doing all the things that people were trying to, they were it, they had good intentions behind their actions, because they know
hmm
that I have potential, and those are actually the opportunities that they find, that they believe are exactly the opportunities that might are the perfect opportunities to share online, so people will resonate with what you are saying.
mm, mm.
But I know myself, and I know what I've been doing all my life. And I know that one of my behaviors and a way to escape from my inner work is by completely go on full on work. So I know I'm working because this is important, but I'm kind of working, but I'm completely dismissing the inner work that I know I have to do, that I need to do.
Yeah, I I can relate 100% for sure. I get it. I'm curious when you say it's interesting how we use the word work, and it
Yeah.
always, like what? I mean, is it like where we put our attention, what we're active? I mean, work is implies that there's an exchange of, movement,
A
attention,
transaction.
or yeah, it's like some sort of there's an engine of investment and return. And what are other words? I find myself talking about like I'm making the artwork, and sometimes I don't like. I'd almost don't want to say I'm making artwork. Like I'm making art, or there's an interesting little piece that we put on things that I don't think really captures a deeper or more. It flattens it out a bit. It's hard to. I don't have the right word for it, but like it's where we put our attention, what we're involved in, what we love. I guess where we feel love, where we feel, you know,
Lighten up and like satiated, fulfilled in what we are
feel,
doing. For example, for me, work is something that was like imprinted on me since a very early age. You have to work, you have to work, you have to work.
yeah.
And there was this period of time that I started, let me just uh, go deeper in what is my definition of work, because that definition of work and the meaning that I was attaching to the work, it was like work is something that I have to do. It's like an obligation. So, and then I start changing all of that, and I start having all this lightness in my life. Like it's not actually work. It's my point of view. Currently, it's my point of view. It's like it's a way of life.
hmm
Wherever I go, if I have to go to work or if I go to whatever, fly to some other country or whatever, it it's like I was compartmentalizing. How do you say it?
Compartmentalize.
I
Yeah.
was putting everything in boxes when everything
Hmm.
is everything the same. It's like it's me creating and having an experience in all these areas. But the meaning,
Hmm.
but the meaning that I had attached to work is like work is hard. Work is something that I have to do, something that I have to get my money so I could pay my bills and raise my son because I'm a single mom. So all that thing as all that narrative has quite disappeared.
How was it uh there's kind of a funny thing in that you find in actually in a few different you find it in engineering, and you actually find it in evolutionary biology. There's a concept that change occurs in two ways, either at the rate of the slowest moving part.
The rate of
Change occurs at the rate of the slowest moving part
the slowest
until
moving part.
until it breaks, and then change is cataclysmic. So it's kind of two concepts at play here. Like we think that, so I'm curious for you, what was the slowest moving gear? And I think like many of us, I mean, what I'm hearing is a narrative, whether we want to call it a false narrative, it's a narrative, whether something is true or false is irrelevant. It is a narrative where, we substitute, honor and self-sacrifice, duty and self-care. We blur the lines between the two. And uh, I mean, I think it's an interesting feature and potentially more and more of modern life where we're not really contained by we don't have a place where the village or the community or the family or the friendships are able to contain a lot of that. So the slowest moving part breaks. And we have to we find ourselves having to actually or reveal that narrative is just a narrative. It's a code we're running. And
Exactly, it's a program. It's a
yeah, it's a program.
script.
Yeah.
It's a script on the back of our mind that keeps running.
It's almost spontaneous. It's not quite like enlightenment, but maybe it is like enlightenment because for a second you absolutely enter that what traditionally in Eastern philosophies would be called a witness state where you're able to view that your actions and you're not your actions, you're not your thoughts, you're not your body, you're not any of
I
those
know
things.
what you mean. Yeah,
And you're like, oh, it's just a piece of code this awareness is running. But what is this? Where is this? What is the silence, one might ask, or what is the silence or the darkness or like the possibility in which that imprint is occurring is completely in a way silent. Like the only capacity to hear, I'm saying, the only way to see or hear the narrative is because we have the capacity of a complete silence in there. And that thing kind of lights up in us and goes, whoa. So I'm kind of curious, how did that occur for you? Like, was it slow or cataclysmic, or can you relate to the
cataclysmic,
cataclysmic?
cataclysmic. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I had some slow situations, but normally it's cataclysmic. It's just like bam, and then I'm just like,
exactly. And I guess the way we feel the slowness is in stress and pressure. Pressure is literally the physiological, emotional response to resistance, to
something
slow.
something new, something that we don't know, unknowing.
Yeah, and then most people choose to lubricate it in some way with like alcohol or drugs or sex or so on. Not that any of those things are by themselves wrong, but it's just that we put it in a certain place and then the gear starts to not break necessarily, but it compounds until it breaks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe I've lived through something similar.
the last 10 months.
For me, it would be, it's funny because I have gone through it several times, and in my life, I've had, success, what we traditionally considered success and failure back to back over a period of 20 years, where sort of my ambition inside of one avenue of exploration would get highly rewarded, and then something would happen in the world that would completely, shatter it. I guess if I use a tarot metaphor, it's like the tower. I'm like, I've lived in the card of the tower for 30 years, like constantly that like building up and crashing down. And I, I just, in each case, I've found in myself that my greatest ally was the capacity for resilience or enthusiasm, and kind of plugging into the feeling of the curiosity about what I could do next. And that's always replenished me. But the last time was a sequence of events that was just, no, you're not. Yeah, we're done doing that particular thing, even though I was a creature of success and failure or resilience and, dusting myself off over and over again. And perhaps that even became part of the narrative, which is like the world is the world is fucked, and though you can knock me down, but I always stand up, right?
No, which
But
is funny because when I scrolled through your IG profile and I went to your website as well, it's like it doesn't show us. It's just like it's brilliant. All your work of art is brilliant.
thank you.
So that's why I'm always interested what's happening, what happens, and what's happening on the background because that still continues to be created, and that background is needed in order for those creations to go out.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we're jumping into I mean, my first part of that story would be if I could take the beginning, and if we just look at my work as an artist, because first of all, I'm so grateful to be doing what I'm doing now. And I love it so much that it's almost like the most regular fears of death or failure or this are like just falling away because I have so much, my curiosity and joy in investigating the things I'm investigating is so uh, blissful on one level to me. But to take it back a second, I was an art student in New York in the 90s or late 80s into the 90s, and I did my
But you
graduate.
were born in Israel, correct?
I was born in Israel, yeah, and then I came to New York in my late teenage years. Let's we can bookmark those
I
things.
love Israel. When as you know, let me just stop you to tell you
Please,
this.
anytime.
It was like I was watching your work and all your work of art, and I was so curious to listen to your voice and to see
Mm.
you in a video. And there was you recently posted something, and I was like, oh, thank God I'm listening to him, so I could listen to your voice. You were talking about something about an exhibition or something like that. I have no idea. I don't recall. And I was just like, oh, what a lovely man.
Oh, thank you.
I went to meet him. And that's when the first feeling to invite you started. And yeah, keep going.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's interesting. I have found more and more that uh, anything that flows forward in my life comes from those kind of feelings and feeling, like a sense of instinct or, for lack of a better word, like an attraction to do something. So, I was also a digital marketer for many, many years, and like, you know, where digital marketing started as a way to express trying to create spontaneous and authentic connections. Now, of course, it's become a punishing algorithm and an oversaturated space, and quite the opposite. And so you find yourself like thinking that those are the tools one should use to create engagement or commerce or connection, whether for commerce, business, or social. But on the other hand, it's just nice to meet someone, and that's actually where things happen between humans. The rest are like just systems and projections. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. I feel the same.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. It is something that I have not always valued,
Mm.
and and it's and it I kind of feel that all the last 10 months that I've been in this vortex and dealing with some emotional stuff that was coming up, that when I started coming back to the online, when I decided, well, I'm going to start. And to start, I will start today. No matter what I'm going to share, we have to begin at some point we
Absolutely.
have to begin. We have to write about something. We have to create something, and that doesn't matter because you create something, and then you create the next, and then the next, and then the next, and then we are start. And there's the point when you look back and you see, oh my God, I've created so much just to reach to this point. And right now, it's like I'm feeling so much comfortable being
Mm.
online and doing my live streams and putting myself out. And it's like I have this, it's like I believe in me. I have an
Yeah,
opinion.
right on.
I have my opinion. And I was so afraid in the past to just express my opinion because I kind of was afraid that someone would say that no, that is not right, it's wrong because it's this and this and that. So I had this fear that somehow some people wouldn't accept me for my own opinion. And currently, I'm just like, I don't even care. This is how I think, this is what I believe.
Right
And
on.
if I want to change it, I will change it if that suits my life, not yours.
Now I know even more why there's resonance we're talking, because that's exactly what I've been thinking about. Like almost word for word, I've been thinking about it because understanding that there's a difference between the need to be liked or the feeling of being liked versus the feeling of feeling authentic or respected. Maybe I'm not finding the right word, like just being. Like a lot of us, and some of us, I wouldn't say because I can't speak for everyone, what I'm hearing in you is like some substantive period of life spent with a desire to be liked.
Exactly. And
And
just,
you and all the energy that takes to do.
yeah, it's
And
like
it,
this persona, this mask that I was trying to put myself out, like, I don't know, somehow unconsciously. I thought that I had to show up like this person because this is like a coach shows up or like a therapy.
totally, totally, totally,
And now
totally.
I'm just like, I'm just doing my live streams, and I want to listen to some music. I put some music on, I start talking about the shit that I want to talk about, and I don't give a fuck.
Great. I was just going to ask you if I can curse because I was going to say it sounds like you have the feeling that you have no more fucks left to give,
Yeah, you curse, whatever you want.
which is like my one of my favorite things to say. This I just don't have any fucks left to give. Like I know how the feeling, my happiness and my sense of. uh I like to speak about coherence and incoherence.
Huh? Tell me
You
more.
know, and that's actually, I mean, specific literally to both the physical process of making the art and where I'm trying to get when I'm making it. I'm looking at one of the pieces. That's why I'm staring off in the distance.
You can share your pieces if you feel sharing one of your pieces or all of them are the ones that you resonate the most. You can bring them on if you wish.
I'm talking to you and I'm looking at this right now, but I guess I just this is
I'm
something I was
watching it. Do it.
working on. I was just working on this. I don't know if you. I'm kind of trying to angle it correctly. I don't know if we're getting it.
No, that's beautiful.
Thank you. So that's something I was just looking at across the room as I was talking, but what we perceive, I think I was, my train of thought sort of like stopped, but like I try and pick it up. When there's a sense of coherence, you know,
Coherence.
like a sense of coherence, which is equanimity or peace, or I'm in the right place. It is an internal, it is not related, it's not relational, it's relational internally. It's not based on anybody else's perceptions or anything outside. It's a way of aligning coherence inside of you. And I've come up with this little word game, which is a little bit of a meditation for me, which is like beauty is incoherence. And it's kind of like
Absolutely.
the word of like beauty is incoherence and beauty is incoherence. And it's that capacity to kind of harmonize inside of discord, to, you know, rise above, to witness the rise above the darkness, or accept not that the darkness is bad, and I don't mean the darkness in the traditional Judeo-Christian sense. I
Yeah, I know what you mean.
mean, you know what I mean, because darkness is actually quite beautiful. Yeah, it's aligning for yourself that,
In a
you know,
way that you feel that you are so aligned and within yourself that what you are expressing and that what you are putting out in the world, it's like if you want to drink what I'm sharing, what I'm putting outside, please do it. If you don't do it. It doesn't matter if someone we are not here to please everyone, and not
Yeah.
everyone will enjoy our work, and that's the beauty of it. And but in the early stages of creation, we wanted so badly that everybody would like what we were creating, like this validation, like, am I doing this work properly, right, correct? Is it something that is not perfect? Blah blah blah. Well, this was used to be my narrative. Currently, I'm just putting outside whatever I want to put outside. I'm not even worried about if it's perfect or not, but I tend to embellish as I go by. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm gonna put this piece and I'm gonna do this. But every piece is always perfect. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like brings me this relief and not giving a fuck if someone says anything about the piece. Just like, I don't give a shit about it. I have done it myself. And for me, it's like, I'm proud of it.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking of the idea that a fire warms the sinner and the saint equally. It doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah. And I have a lot of fire.
Yeah, so it warms the sinner and the saint. It's not a, there's no morality to it. There's a part of life that I mean, there's a kind of stoicism to like life is in flow. Life is, you are life. Life is happening. There's nowhere to be, nothing to gain. It's just becoming aware of the beautiful, mysterious choreography of it.
Yes. Like today, I was talking with this friend of mine, and we were talking about birth, having a
Mm.
child. And she's not a mom yet. I have a son with 21 years old. And
How old is he? Sorry.
my son is 21.
21. I have a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
No, not yet. Please go ahead.
And she asked me about the birth. I was birthing my child, and I told her that women tend to exaggerate a little bit the birth scene. But she asked me everything, all the details, and I told her birthing a child does not it's not painful. What is painful is when you are contracting, when you are opening.
Right. So leading to the birth.
Exactly. That's where the pain comes from, not from the birth itself. When my son was born, my son came out from my vajayjay, it
Uh-huh.
didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. It was like it looked like a serpent, like
Right.
yeah, like this, and I was just like, it didn't hurt. It was just my body was adapting to the birth time,
Oh, that's so interesting.
and
Yeah.
I was telling her that I have never wished to be a mother. So that was a my son was born from a one night stand, and my son doesn't know
Hmm.
his father, but he knows his father because I have showed him some pictures, and I always told him, if you want to meet your father, I'll take you to your father, and you know your father. But he never asked me to bring to his father. And um, the moment that he was born, and I was just like, my God, my son has chosen me to be his mom. He doesn't know the hell he's going to pass through. But the moment that I saw him, his little hands, all the face, his hair, his body, I was completely mesmerized and fascinated. I was just like, how can this be possible? I have created this miracle.
Hmm. Hmm.
How could my body create such a beautiful human being?
That's beautiful.
No, I cried. Well, while I was telling this to her, I was just like, I'm so emotional because since that moment, I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever how would be to be a mom. I just knew that I didn't want to bring any human being to this world because I have all these limited beliefs about that. But the moment that he was start looking at him, I was just like, my body has created this being. My body has the capacity and the knowledge and the intelligence to create nails, bone,
Coherent, the coherence, coherence out of nothing. There was nothing, and now there's coherence. In the no thing, coherence is born,
and
and the coherence is like,
and we forget that we are a miracle. We are fucking miracles.
yeah, yeah, totally.
I was once a baby. You were once a baby. We
Some
were.
people think I still am a baby, but it's all right.
I know what you mean. I still, of course, there's always a baby inside of us and a little
Yeah.
child. But this just makes me think about humanity as just miracles. And everyone has forgot the miracle that they are. They forgot that they are here to bring something that is really miraculous to the world. But they
Totally.
somehow they want that validation. They want, I don't know, there's something that is attached to that that person is creating, which doesn't matter actually, because when you start putting yourself outside and whatever you are creating, you are just doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Mm-hmm.
just doing that.
Oh, it's good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
You're
and after the
sorry?
and I was just going to say that after all these 10 months in this like dark place that was actually a very amazing place
Mm,
where I had the opportunity to release and to cry and to do all the things that I was not allowing myself to do because
mm,
I was very hard on to myself.
mm,
And I just like, no, I'm gonna put all out. Everything that I'm feeling, I'm going to just put it all out. Just put it all out. It doesn't matter.
mm. That's awesome. Good for you. Good. Keep going.
And yeah, exactly. And it is my path. It is my path, and that's the path that I'm on. And I was
But I
so
like
uh, I was kind
Go
of
ahead, please. Sorry.
no worries. I was worried that people would see me like this different Dalida. Like, what the hell is happening with you? We never saw you so emotional or so vulnerable or so sweet, so open. And I told them it's part of my process. I've been closed so many times, so long, and now I'm opening. I am releasing everything that I was carrying inside of me that I never allowed myself to put outside. Because now
Mm,
I have to take care of my son. I cannot cry right now. I have to do lunch. I have to take care of my job. I have to do all the laundry, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of piled all these emotional emotions throughout my life, not allowing to feel them when was the moment to feel them. And then I have
mm.
spent like these 10 months like bursting out and crying out like in a row, like everything that I have put under the carpet was coming out, and it was beautiful.
That's beautiful. Oh, that's great. I mean, I totally get it. For me, it's a little longer now than 10 months. It happened probably in the beginning of the pandemic, where my last sort of focus and business venture and ambition just came to a full stop. And I was living up in a beautiful area with a very attractive, vibrant nature in the Pacific Northwest with like moss and green and trees. And birds and animals, and nature really called me back. I just started going every day into the woods instead of going to work. I just went every day into the woods, and then I started to bring my sketch bag back out, and I just started to return to something I loved. I had to pick up like a little ember, a little spark in the darkness and blow on it, and just realize that, like our expectations, our ambitions are like mist before the rising sun. And what's really there is the desire for life, um, and living it. And for me, it was playing in nature. And that's what woke up this all exploration. And it was really, really hard because, I mean, there was like obviously all the insane financial pressures of the world stopping, and then the
Yeah.
insane emotional pressures of a marriage coming to an end, and all these pieces, and like inside of it, I had to really find my way through it, and it's not really reinvent myself, but in a way just return to myself without needing to be liked, without needing to be validated, without being able to really predict what's going to happen. The minute I let go of the idea of like that I can predict what's going to happen, that was like, oh,
It's me projecting in the future. Ha ha ha.
yeah. There's no, I mean, what, I can kind of orient myself like a ship, but I can't, it's relational. Yeah. So I really relate to what you're saying. And I also really like what you're writing. I mean, I always love there's a nice sense of, uh, you give voice to the mystery and poetry of it nicely, that, it's not so intellectual. Like you juxtapose reason with feeling in an interesting way, and I like reading your work.
Thank
I want
you.
to see more people reading it. Yeah.
I've been working poetry since high school. It was something that I always loved. Philosophy,
Mm.
Portuguese, because I'm Portuguese, I'm Portuguese based. So Israel, I love Israel. I have a good friend in Israel. She's not based in Israel currently. She's in Rotterdam. So one of my best friends in my life it was from Israel. So when I saw your video when you said, "Hi, I'm Yehonatan Koenig and I'm from Israel," and I said, "Oh my God, I have to speak with him."
Yeah. Well, Israel, I'm
So
kind of
you
a,
are from Europe. You are from where I live.
oh yeah, I love Europe. And I mean, I don't even, in some ways, it's kind of, I think I would have, in a way, it's a whole other topic. Yeah, I ended up here. I mean, my father was American, and he lived with my mom in Israel for many, many years. And then they brought us when I was still a teenager. My other brothers were more grown up. My two brothers were grown up. And it's funny because to this day I think there's many people like me, in the sense that we're kind of chimeras or hybrids, because we grew up in multiple places. And so Americans, locals know that I'm not from here. They relate to me like, oh, something's not familiar.
Because of the accent, but
Well,
especially.
the accent, and also my mannerisms.
Yeah,
I'm
I know what you
very
mean.
Israeli, but I'm very Israeli about things. Like I'm physical. My personal space is different. I'm just like, I'm more European in that sense.
Yeah.
But then Israelis don't really relate to me like an Israeli either.
So
They're
you're
like,
like in this in between place, like between American and Israel.
totally
The
in between.
cultural.
Yeah, yeah. So there's, everything has what you might be called like a gift and a challenge, and ultimately they're the same. So uh, I have I suppose now, a privilege or an insight into understanding how important the desire to fit in, or the desire to be liked. I understand really deeply the limbic pull on me to do that, and I think it's really. I kind of wish that like all schools would introduce this. Like, how does your limbic system work? You want to belong, you want to feel safe, you want to eat. If any of those things are challenged, you're likely going to be producing your adrenals and your hormonals are going to respond. So if you're in a condition where those things are not, and this is happening, and of course, as you become a teenager, your hormones are going crazy. All you could like teach people like what the mechanism of the body is like from the limbic perspective. You know, we tend to think top down as opposed to bottom up, which is like I am a collection of nerve and cell and bone and blood and hormones, and my consciousness is sort of, you know,
Supporting
merging.
all that.
Yeah, like integrating and supporting all this like phenomena of material reality, which is sinew and bone
Miracle.
and nerve. It's a miracle, but no
Yeah.
one tells you like, here's a little bit operating manual.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the book.
You're gonna want to belong. You know, you're gonna want to be liked because belonging means that you're getting fed. Belonging means that you are safe. The things that you think are desires to connect, which give you a sense of your own insecurity or security, are directly related to your ability to move your genes into the next day. And all energy is trying to do constantly across every dimension of the universe is trying to stay warm. Everything is just trying to stay warm.
Like
Extend the period in which it's warm.
warm.
Warm. It's called warmth, like cold and warm, like, you know, a
Cold
spot.
and warm. Okay, warm. Yeah.
So like everything is trying to stay warm, and warm is, you could call warm coherence, like it's coherent, it's warm, and the cold is entropy. It starts. So, but even inside of the entropy, there's
Exactly. I
it's
read
on,
about
it comes
entropy.
on. Yeah, there's order inside of the entropy. There's warmth inside of the entropy,
Yeah.
also. So if you learn that is affecting your psychology and your narrative and your language do not exist outside of that, where our entire all human culture, language, and belief, I think, is an evolution of that reality. And we just feel disconnected from that. Yeah.
Just did a live stream today talking about this.
Yeah.
Not with your words, but I was saying like words didn't even exist like so many years ago. Like Egyptians used to, instead words used to draw paint on the walls in a way to describe what they wanted to express. But words
Mhm.
didn't even exist. If you go to see the etymology of the words, when words were created, when certain words were created, and what do they mean, they have become, they have gone through all these transformations, and now they have so different meanings like they had in the beginning that it's sometimes for me it's just like ridiculous when someone is fighting and arguing about the word. It's like it's not about the word. Forget about the word. Just live, stay here,
Yeah.
feel the energy. It's not about the word or the meaning or the meaning.
Yeah. Totally. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about that. I mean, if I reflected back on my there's so much to talk about here, my God.
Talking, I don't mind. We can stay here for 2 hours. It could be
You
like a
know,
two hour,
and
two-hour
we can do it
podcast.
again, you know. I have another now.
It's up to you. It's up to you.
I got like another 20 minutes before I have to get ready for, but we can do it again. I was imagining we're doing a few of these and then you're going to edit something, right? Is that the idea?
Let's do
20
it.
minutes, right? Okay, great. So, and there's so many topics here and I'm really enjoying the conversation. What I was
Me
going to say,
too. Me too. I'm loving it.
what I was going to say is that, um, that feeling of not knowing what things meaning. I know you've seen it when I write about it. I don't know if you see,
Yeah.
I call it
Knowing,
knowing,
not
not.
knowing. Yeah, I
Yeah,
wrote it.
that is the key to everything for me, is just like staying curious, always being curious, and also suspicious of my own emotional responses to things. Not suspicious in the sense of like angry, but like, oh, like that's an interesting, you know, and also learning that if you don't react to something, it also just sort of like evolves into something else. It's like we get flooded. And again, that's like a biomechanical function. Like one gets flooded literally with chemicals and neural chemistry, and you just sit with it, it will subside
Yeah.
and you'll be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's like learning to steer this physical ship. I have a good friend of mine who says, you know, I've heard it a few times, but a good friend of mine says, like, anything you want to learn about, anything that people talk about in terms of the mystical or the spiritual, can be studied in the physical and concrete. There's no separation.
Exactly.
Everything. Yeah.
And even what people are saying nowadays regarding New Age spirituality or whatever already exists. There's the truth is already there for so many generations.
Hmm.
But this is
Do we,
this,
do we imagine that then it's a mission? Like when you talk about the work you're doing, do you feel like there's a sense of mission for you to have other people wake up to this? Is that what this work is about for you? I mean, if there's mission involved, if one can have mission, I don't, not to think of results, but mission, like
you
for
know,
instance, we create resonance around this, talking about this because we're
yeah,
resonating.
and I can feel the energy. It's like it's
Yeah.
so beautiful that it's just
Mm.
like I could stay like talking with
Yeah.
you hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But nowadays I tend to not to doubt what people are saying, but not assuming that that is the truth right away.
Mm.
Just like,
Mm.
okay, let me think about this. Let me see it from another perspective, from another angle, because there's always another angle that you can see things through. And when someone
Totally.
approaches me saying that, oh, this is the truth. No, it's not. That is a part of it, but there's always a move because nothing is static. And everyone is creating and creating, although they are not aware that they are creating, and all these ideas are coming through. And this is something that has happened to me before. Like I had this idea, and then no, I'm not going to put it outside. And then someone put that idea outside, and it's like a huge success. And I'm just like, man, I thought about that. And it's not that who had the idea first or not, but who
Mm.
were the quickest to put it outside, no matter what.
Mm.
So that is something that for me, just like when I have an idea, I'm just like, I'm going to do it.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I get that. That's cool. Yeah.
Because I have this motto. It's like, I don't know how much time am I going to live? How many years? Perhaps I have already lived more than half of my life. I have no idea. I'm 46. So,
Mm.
um, but something that always it's not a motivation, but when something new shows up in my life, I'm just like, either it's a yes or a no. Am I going to do it or not?
Mm-hmm.
If
Mm-hmm.
it's a yes, then I will go forward, no matter what. No matter if they call me crazy, no matter if my family don't like it. Just like, no, I'm an individual. I'm going to do it myself because this is my life and I want to do it.
Yeah, yes or no. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
So interesting. But I'm gonna go back to I want to re-ask my question, even though you answered it in a wrap. You not that you didn't answer it, that you went you gave me color for it. I'm wondering like, and the reason I'm asking is, well, maybe I'll answer it myself. Like I feel I am really excited about people when I get really turned on. People look at my work and have experienced some of the phenomena that I'm experiencing, making it. Like I'm not attached to it, but at the same time, it's like I want them to have a phenomena where they go like, oh wow, like this really is like a portal into such and such without explaining what that is. Like I don't, it's not because I'm not trying to have an aesthetic experience with the artwork itself or an intellectual experience or an experience that like is examining, power dynamics in our culture or any of the other things that are like, seen as valid art uh, explorations for artists. Uh, I'm keen. I guess I am a little bit on a mission to broadcast something beyond thought, something sublime, something that is about the mystery of the unfolding of meaning. And I do feel like I'm a little bit on a mission sometimes, but I'm not evangelical about it from the standpoint. I'm like, oh, if you don't get it, it's okay, you know. But like, if I see that someone gets it, I love it, you know. And so like the way I was asking is like, given the predilection you've entered in the last 10 months and what you're doing, do you what are you is there any framework you're looking? I mean, where do you want to be? Do you want, I mean, like, I mean, I know you say, I mean,
But
are you looking,
what I
you want to
feel,
wait? Yeah, where do you want to be with this?
what I feel, I am more aligned and more certain about what I want to do in this life is just creating and putting myself out there, do what I want to do, like freely, and become. I'm already that person. I'm already that person. I know I am, and I could feel it the last month when I started doing these live streams on Instagram. Like one day, I was just like, I felt this. I hear this command like, "Go on live," and I'm just like, "Go on live." Okay, I'm gonna put on live. And I didn't knew what I was going to talk about, but anyway, I just let myself go and start talking about. And doing one after the other and after the other after the other, it's just like has become natural for me in a way that in the past I had I knew I had this mask, this veil that I didn't want people to see who I really was. So I wanted to see the role, the Dolly the coach or the Dolly the whatever that I thought I was, like an identity. And now it's just like I'm free of that. I feel like I'm free of that. I'm just putting myself out there. Just this is who I am. This is exactly,
You're fully in the not knowing, but the pleasure of not knowing.
yeah, the pleasure of not knowing and the pleasure of not having a motivation to do it. Because I don't have a motivation to do it. I'm just doing it because I want to do it because it pleasures me.
Yeah, like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that is the topic. That is part of the topic I've heard you and Noah speak about when you speak about the energy of Eros, right? Which is just where does one everything's unveiled in the feeling of desire and attraction, intent, will. I mean, there's really one force in the universe, and it's pretty much you could call it, I mean, desire, intent, will. There's one thing with all its different names in a way.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I was a little bit confused along the way with because all of those terms and they are all the same, but
Yeah.
people give
In the
this
term between like intent, will, desire, like those three things, like, or yeah, and how they fall under Eros, or do they fall against mission or intent, or like in those terms, you mean you were confused? Like how did the spectrum between like desire, will, and intent?
we can have that talk in then our next
Yeah,
podcast.
that sounds like a whole other, yeah. That
Yeah,
sounds like a
otherwise we will go in a completely deep realm direction.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting conversation to have, definitely living it. Well, I can tell you this. I can tell you this about myself now. Love, I, if I have a day where I get to make art and cook, it's perfect. That's it. It's really simple for me. It's like cooking and making art is just, I feel like I finally merge with, a kind of curious and wonderful, miraculous unfolding of life.
Simplicity. It's like simple. It's simple. Simplicity.
Mm.
Cooking, and most people, and also myself. There was this period of my life that I thought that I had to obtain and attain and conquer so many stuff and piling up, blah, blah, all
Mm.
that stuff. And now I'm just releasing all that stuff that I
Cool.
have been. accumulating throughout my life that I really don't need it. Just like, yeah.
It's, I mean, does it hurt sometimes to let go of those things? Do you feel the pain or like the, do you have any pain associated with it? Is there,
No,
or,
I kind of procrastinate. Like
ah,
I see the things, for example, like the last thing that I've done was I grabbed all the sheets that I had, everything that was old, that I was keeping it, I don't know why, but for some kind of reason, survival, or one day I will need it or something else. And one day I was just like, no, I'm gonna give everything to someone. And I had everything packed in my car and for 3 weeks. And
it was
yesterday,
sitting.
yesterday, I was not trying to give it back. It was just we had this mismatch in terms of hours. And yesterday I called the woman and I said, listen, I'm available now. I can meet you right now and I can give you everything that I have in my car. And on the next day she saw me and she gave me like this huge hug and a kiss. And I said, and she said, oh my God, thank you so much. That really, you know, my sister sent you a kiss because every clothes that you gave her, it was just perfect for her. And it made me happy. Make me happy because I don't want that stuff, but I want some. If some makes someone happy, then for me, yeah. And I know that when I look at my surroundings, it's just like, no, this does not matches what I want in life.
Mm, mm,
But I cannot do everything at once, so I go to work, I do my stuff, and I tend to prioritize what is a priority for me currently.
mm. Do you make lists? I wonder if you're a person who
No,
makes
no.
you calendarize things or it's just whatever.
No, I do have lists. For example, I book my sessions, I book things that for me are important.
Mm,
But for example, when I feel like doing some decluttering, it's just like when I start, I cannot stop. Just like now it's the fridge and then it's the bathroom and then it's my room and I kind of feel like I have like a DHD brain when I'm doing decluttering because I start doing something and then I move to another thing and by the end of the day everything is all spread around the house and I'm just like, man, now I'm in the middle of chaos that I myself created. But it's cool. It's cool because in the middle of that chaos I can look at it, be okay with it, because there was a time that I couldn't see it. I was just like, no, I have to get rid of all of it. Everything must be clear and clean, and I want everything to be perfect by tomorrow. And that's not possible. Well, it is, but it actually is not the game that I want to play.
Yeah, I don't, yeah. And who the hell knows what perfection is anyway? I like to say that God's language is chaos. That's what I tell myself. God speaks in chaos. If you want to understand, you can understand your relationship to chaos and keep yourself balanced through it and even understand your own desire to make order in it, the incapacity to ever really make order in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And you start to, and you can find peace in there. You see that it's like falling and putting one foot out of the other. It's like that saying, like walking is really falling and catching yourself with the next foot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth in that across all metaphors, all dimensions, for sure.